two. I'm imagining the relationships between an objective empirical position and the subjective phenomenological position, and they're coming together within an empirical understanding of phenomenology. And I've just been talking about a kind of diagram for those relationships based on a circle with a dot in the centre, in which, for me at least, the dot at the centre represents this kind of axial central position of subjective experience, subjective phenomenal experience, and the circle, the periphery, representing potentially objective empiricism. And I've been saying that if you introduce an object of knowledge into that space, or if you introduce some entity into that space and inquire what kind of object it becomes, viewing that object from the centre forces certain phenomenal limitations and certain structures on that perception, on that object of knowledge. The objective position, the objective peripheral, empirical, scientific position, and by objective I mean object creating, it's kind of defining of what an object is, of what an objective position is, of what objectivity is. For that bit, I kind of have to imagine a lot of other people inside myself. What I kind of imagine is like a daisy chain of people. Daisy chain? No, there's paper dolls you cut out. That kind of thing going all around the centre, all around the circle. All kind of, I imagine them holding hands for some reason. They don't have to hold hands. But I imagine thousands of little points all around this, the periphery of this circle, all of which represents a person, all of which represents a viewing position. And then I imagine introducing some knowledge claim into that circle, perhaps placing it at the centre where I was originally imagining myself standing as a subject. So the knowledge claim is at the centre now, and it's being viewed, again I'm using this visual metaphor, it's being viewed from all these cut out paper dolls all around the outside of the circle. Clearly in that position, in that relationship, assuming, and this is really important, assuming there is methodologies for these paper dolls to aggregate their knowledge, to provide, to try and give checks and balances to their knowledge, to pool it in some way, then their construction of the object in that environment is going to be very different. They all have different angles of incidence upon it. They can all see different sides of it. There's no possibility of them, all of those individual viewing positions being crowded by the knowledge looming too close to any one of them. Because of course as it looms towards one, it inevitably moves further away from others. So it's always being perceived and experienced in multiple ways. And out of that aggregation, out of that pooling, out of that commonality of experience, as I say, assuming those aggregation processes are sound, something called, what we might call an object, is kind of interpersonally produced. And I think if any kind of objectivity could be claimed for any kind of knowledge claim that's made, it requires that kind of a set of processes, which again I'm just imagining visually here. So that to the outside of the circle, for me, represents the objectivity, empiricism, the goals of science. So how do those things come together in the empirical understanding of the phenomenal position? I'm going to come back to that. I can't quite get there yet. It's something to do with kind of zooming out, so that whole circle with a dot becomes multiplied. I just can't get there with the visual image.